Our first speaker tonight is Armin Vit. It's rare to see a Texan in Montreal in the middle of January, but he's here. Armin Vit is a designer, critic, writer, and co-founder of the UnderConsideration network of blogs, which includes Brand New, Quipsologies, and For Print Only. He has written and published Design Referenced, an encyclopedia of design, and Flaunt, among other books and magazines, and has judged numerous design competitions, including the Cooper Hewitt National Design Award. He also organizes the Brand New Conference and started the Brand New Awards. We are very fortunate to start off today's event with him. Please welcome Armin Vit.
All right, just as an update, in Texas right now, where I'm from, it's 23 degrees and sunny. I know. So thank you for having me. Let's check the time, 8:15, all right, 9 minutes. I have 20 minutes, so I want to make sure that I get on time so that everybody else can speak. So the theme of the evening is personal projects at work, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to talk about work at personal projects. It doesn't make as much sense when you write it out, but trust me, it's the best way it works. So one of the reasons why I want to flip the theme of the evening in my case is because what have been our personal projects have become our work. Things that used to be side projects are now, basically part of our business plan every year. I use the term business plan loosely because basically what it is me and my wife, shown here, we sit down for lunch and we're like, and then, like December 1, like what do you want to do next year? Like, do you want to do a conference? Sure. Should we do something else? Yeah, maybe another conference. When? Maybe 2 years from now. All right. Can we order now? So it's just me and her. She's also a graphic designer. We're originally from Mexico City. We've been in the design business for 15 years now. From 1999 to 2007, we were both employed. At one point, I used to work at Pentagram in New York. And we moved around a little bit. We were in Chicago, New York, and now Austin, Texas. We established our own office and business in 2007. And at the time, we had a lot of clients, we had a lot of referrals from our previous employers, but with the idea that we were going to focus on our projects, kind of like a 50-50 divide. At the beginning, we had a lot of clients, then 2009 happened, and we ran out of clients because clients didn't have any money. 2009 was a horrible year in the US. So we just kind of like ran out of clients and started focusing more on our projects. So now this is basically what we did last year, 2014. We at most had 2 to 3 clients, and by clients I mean someone coming in with an outside project and saying, here is money to do a book or to do a website or to do an identity project. So most designers have 2 to 3 clients a day. We only had 2 to 3 clients last year. On the other hand, we had between 10 and 12 and I'm on purpose, I'm calling it self-driven other than personal, because again, they're not so much personal anymore because they are how we make money. So they're not, they're personal because they basically pay for what we do and what we eat and what we wear, but it's more that we are the ones defining what we're doing. Some of these we have 4 blogs, Brand New, which is our most popular, FPO, Quipsologies, and Art of the Menu. Of those blogs, every quarter we get the best work and we make a little magazine and we send it out. We did 2 awards competitions, one for Brand New, one for FPO. And what that involves is like we select judges, we fly them to Austin, we have an open call for entries, designers submit their work, we select the best, and we make a book and a website. We also have a self-published book, and this one we did back in 2009, but it's still kind of like an ongoing project because we're going into the 2nd edition, and we're gonna, we basically ran out of copies, so we were forced to do the 2nd edition instead of reprinting. So just we don't really plan ahead a lot. Like, you know, at some point we went to our storage locker room that we rent, and like, oh, we're down to 2 boxes. Should we print some more? Like, we don't have time, so maybe we should work on another one now. So we're working on that now, and we're out of stock, but we still sell a PDF, and people can download that. Last year, we started a speaker series, a lot like this one in Austin, where every 2 months we bring in one speaker from somewhere in the US, someone famous and nice and enjoyable to see for an hour. And we have, it's a lot like this. We have 100, 150 people, and it's nice and good. You have an event tonight, which I think is this one. This is not my phone. I think it's Alex's. So close. We also do one big ass conference, which is a brand new conference, and that's a one-day event where we do one every year. We've done it 5 years. Last year was our first time doing it for 2 years, and the focus on that is just people that are working on logo identity and branding, and we do everything. We pay for the speakers, we select the speakers, we select the venue, we organize the venue, we design the program, we design the identity, we put the badges together, anything that's hand assembled, we do it. Like, it's only me and my wife, and we usually have 2 interns, so they're also pitching in. And this one, kind of like everything that we do is, we do it because we can, because there's no one telling us not to. We don't have a client saying do this or do that. So we come up with this idea, with these projects to do. And all these things, they've now become our work. The brand new conference is something that we rely on to pay the bills, that it's engaging for us, that's interesting for the community, that all the design community is waiting for. The blogs, people like to read free blogs every day, so we have to make sure that every day, it's part of the routine, it's part of the hours that we're spending. So all these things that sort of started as a personal project, and just a little bit of history. The first blog that kind of like started this for us was called Speak Up. Did anyone here read Speak Up? Other than Alex, all right, so 2 people. So that tells you how niche and small this was, but that was what got us started into this whole world of blogs. And also, just to put it into perspective, with like Brand New, which is our biggest blog, that one will get like 1.25 million page views per month and 70,000 unique visitors per month. And this is not me going like, yeah, man, look at us, see how many visitors we get. It's just to put it in perspective. It's not huge like BuzzFeed or Slate or any of those big online publications, but for a design blog focusing on talking about logos, it's pretty damn big. So with that audience, we're able to do all these other projects. So this blog that I started way back when in 2002, it was a side project, and I think we all have experienced. We all have a personal project that we want to do, but there's a lot of problems that come with personal projects. One of them is that there's no deadline. There's no one telling you this has to be done at a certain point. So you're like, well, I'll pull it off until next week and next month and next year, and then you have babies and you don't do it. There's no budget. There's no one telling you. This works 2 ways. There's no budget in that you have no money to do it, and there's no budget in anyone saying like, here's $10,000 to do this. You figure out a way to do it. There's also, let's go back. There's also no feedback. I mean, with clients, as much as we hate their stupid comments, it is feedback. It is a way of reining in what you're doing. It is a way of focusing what you're doing. It is a way of taking things in a certain direction. When you don't have any feedback, when you don't have clients, there's too much freedom. There's so much that you can do, and you can do anything, that you end up doing nothing because there's no brief, there's nothing to take you in a certain direction. And to come back to why I'm flipping the theme of tonight's event to my presentation, there are some benefits to work. Basically, it's that you're being held accountable to a brief, a budget, and a timeline. So someone is telling you what to do, how long it has to take, and for how much money you have to to spend. So that helps you focus. That gives you a goal. That lets you know what needs to happen when, for how much, and what the expectations are. And that helps you establish a process. Whatever it is of, you do your brief, you do your brainstorming sessions, whatever those things are, how you present your work, all that stuff is giving you a process to do what you do. And you get to spend someone else's money, especially if you're producing something, whether you're printing or designing or making a video. Someone is spending. You're not spending that money. That money is someone else's, and you get to spend it, and you get to learn from those experiences of using that money. So you're always learning from work. So I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of you think that from personal work you bring all that fun creativity and unbridled excitement into your client work, but I think there's a lot that you can bring in from work into the personal projects that can make it, can help you get through these projects and make them, and actually make them, because that's the most important thing. If you have a great idea, that's great. We all have great ideas. I was having a great idea when I was sitting there, but if I go home and I don't do anything about it, it doesn't matter. So it's all about, what are the things that will allow you to make those things happen, and those things are you learn on the job, actually. So I'm going to walk you through one example of actual personal work. Actually, and on the plane over here, I was working on my presentation. I had grabbed the files that I needed to make it, and I was going to talk about the identity for the brand new conference last year, which is really cool and sexy and fun, and you guys were going to go like, ooh, that's great. Armin is a genius. I wish I was as creative as him, whatever. But it was, it's not a personal project, as I mentioned. It's something that we do. It's something that has a deadline. It happens on a specific event. It has an audience, which is graphic designers. And we have a budget that we have to stick to. So luckily, I stopped over in Atlanta, and I was able to download some files of that I just finished for an actual personal project that I did because no one asked me to. It's just something that I wanted to do. And it kind of like puts into a concrete example what I just talked about of putting all those things that you learn from work into a personal project. So who here has seen Sons of Anarchy? All right. Who has never heard of Sons of Anarchy? So what are the rest of you? So some of you have no idea what is Sons of Anarchy. Some of you, anyone watching it has not completed seeing the full series? All right, spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert. Don't pay too much attention to the photos because it has every single death in the show. All right, so Sons of Anarchy is a show that started, I think, in 2007. I started watching it in 2000. I think I started watching it last year on Netflix, so I binge watched the first 5 seasons, and I was hooked. And then I caught up, and then I was watching the show live. So what Sons of Anarchy is it's a very happy show. So Sons of Anarchy follows a fictitious motorcycle club in some town in charming California, and how they survive is that they smuggle weapons from the Irish, and they sell it to black gangs and to Latino gangs and to Chinese gangs. And all this happens in a tiny town. You wonder why it all happens in a tiny town, but that's not the point. So everything revolves around this guy, Jack Steller. That's his stepdad. That's his mom, and that's his wife. And they all like fight and hit each other and kill a lot of people. Just to give you a sense of what the show entails, and because it's a really interesting show. This is one of the characters. His name is Chucky. He has prosthetic hands because he was a chronic masturbator. So the Chinese gang chopped off his fingers so that he wouldn't masturbate. This is Tick Traeger, and he's drowning someone in a tub full of urine at a porn producer's studio. There's also cute and funny things. This guy, He's part of the club, and his name is Juice, like drinking juice, and he has tattoos. And in this scene, he gets drunk and he gets dropped by the side of the road wearing diapers and what. So he's a good-looking guy, but then he goes to jail and gets raped by the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. So even something that's nice and innocent gets perverted in the end. You're probably thinking, man, this guy's weird. So one of the reasons why I like Sons of Anarchy and other shows like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones is that I have 2 daughters, and everything is about fucking princesses. And everything is pink, and everything is frilly, and everything is cute, and puppies, and rainbows, and unicorns. And at the end of the day, I want something that's just really, really horrible to, to kind of like level shit off. So I became a real fan of the show. The series just ended in December, and at the end of the 6th season, I knew it was going to end in 7th season. I thought there should be a chart that chronicles who kills who, because people kill each other within gangs kill each other's members. At the end, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a lot of deaths and a lot of interesting deaths. So I did this poster. This is the final piece, so I'm showing you that first, and I'll show you how I got there. But no one asked me to do it. It was really, really time-consuming. But the reason why I was able to do it is because I was able to put into effect everything that I had learned from clients and from working on the brand new conference and working on production and stuff like that. So when you're thinking of a personal project, probably the last thing that you're thinking about is a spreadsheet. But that's the way that this project started. I had to build a spreadsheet. Let me make sure that this plays. With the first name, last name, the affiliation of each gang, the position, the relationship between each other, what season they were introduced in, what season they were killed in, who killed them, so I can sort quickly by who killed the most. So, you can see that Jack Steller's kind of like a son of a bitch and kills everyone. And then I can organize it by how they were killed. So whether they were shot, unknown, what else comes up? Shot in the chest. So I got very specific. Shot in the face, shot in the head, stabbed, etc. So, again, that's the last thing that you think of for a personal project, but that's what I had to do to get it done. There was no way of just starting this from without that. And then, this is kind of like the evolution of the file. And you think that, a personal project should be fun. It should just be creativity, bam, let's make it work. One file, it's done, it's approved, it's out the door. Not so much, this is missing the red. Weird. So the red lines are missing for some reason on the screen, but that's kind of like how it started. I basically threw everything into Illustrator and just started kind of sculpting everything. And all the little portrait illustrations were done by a guy named Taylor Goat. He helped me out with the illustrations and the little icons for how people were killed, whether it was shot, stabbed, and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a detail of the poster. That's the key of how to read it. If it has a little starburst, it's the guy that killed, and if it has a little death icon, it's the guy that got killed. And I also make relationships of who are family related and who is related by love or just sex. There's also a lot of sex. So there's all the illustrations. So this guy got beaten to death. There's a lot of authority figures, and they all die, obviously, because they're supposedly the good guys. And so this poster is really chaotic, and the lines are sometimes hard to follow, but it kind of represented the show really well. And overall, in the whole poster, there is, I think, around 170 characters, and 110 of them die. So that's 110 lines that I had to get in place. And then on the sidebars, they're like, the lesser characters, and I sorted them by groups like prostitutes and escorts, because there's a lot of them. Not everything, like there's no icon for drowned in top of urine, so every now and then, you just had to spell it out. And, a little production detail in terms of, this is something that I learned on the go. That type size is like 4-point italic, but silver ink, and silver ink is opaque, so you can lay it on top of black without having to trap it. Trapping means like you have to knock out the black underneath, and that creates a little bit of harder reproduction. So at one point, like, oh, I can make 4-point type because you can lay silver ink opaquely on black. So, little things like that. So that's the final piece. We just released it. We printed it over the holidays. We put it out for sale in January, and I think we've sold like 100 so far. So it's great. It was something that no one asked me to do it. I just wanted to do it. It was a release for my obsession, and so these are the benefits of this personal project is that it was fun. There's no other way to describe it other than I had fun doing it, I had fun researching it, I had fun doing that spreadsheet. It's a release for obsessions, and I have a weird metaphor for this. Is that when you have a fart and you're holding it, you feel bad all day. You're like, and you're in a meeting and you don't hold it, but just release it. And you never know, it might smell like roses. And people will be like, oh my God, I didn't know that. You were holding that and it smells like roses. Like, yes, thank you for noticing. So, it really is a stupid metaphor, but it's just like, that's what an obsession feels like. If you keep it inside, it's just gonna kind of like eat you up from the inside. You learn to develop self-criticism because there's no feedback. So all the time you have to be looking at the thing that you're making, like, is this good enough? Is this, does it read? Is the audience gonna get it? And importantly, it makes you commit. I mean, you have to commit to it and say, I'm gonna do it no matter what. This is gonna get done, and I'm the one that's gonna get it done. And again, it's just goddamn fun. And going back to, why it's a release from work is because work problems have tight deadlines and small budgets and shitty feedback from clients. But what you have to remember is that it's still work. It is still what you do. It's still what you get paid for. It's still what, in theory, you enjoy. So no matter what, work brings, you have to find a way. You have to find a way to get through those tight deadlines and the feedback and the no budget. You have to find a way to make it happen, to find something that makes you enjoy whatever the challenge is. However horrible you think it's going, there has to be something in there for you to enjoy, to make it personal, because after all, all our work is personal. So find a way to make personal work, to make work work, and to make it work. So thank you.